Hi, Dr. Shmaila here, physiotherapist. Today we continue with chapter number 1, that is mechanical principle. Today we study about simple machines. Simple machines are classified into two types, levers and pulleys. Now start with what is first of all start with what is machine. A machine is a contrivance which enables an applied force to overcome a given resistance. The use of a machine usually make it possible for the magnitude of the applied force to be less than that of the resistance which it overcomes, or when this is not so, it enables the force to be applied more conveniently. Lever and pulleys are examples of simple machine in common use in everyday life, and their principles are also utilized for the production of the movement in the human body. Now let's start with these machines. First we study about lever. Levers have three classes. First class lever, second class lever and third class lever. Um, as you are seeing in this diagram, in first class lever, fulcrum is between load and effort. In second class lever, load or you can say weight is between effort and fulcrum. And in third class lever, you are saying that effort is between load and fulcrum. Now discuss in detail. A lever is a rigid bar which is capable of movement about a fixed point called a fulcrum, that is pivot point. Work is done when a force or effort applied at one point on the lever acts upon another force or weight acting at a second point on the lever. The perpendicular distance from the fulcrum to the effort may be called the effort sum, and that from the fulcrum to the weight as the weight sum. In the body, a lever is represented by a bone which is capable of movement about a fulcrum, formed at the articulating surface of a joint. Effort which works the lever is supplied by the force of muscle contraction applied at the point of insertion to the bone, while the weight may be either at the center of gravity of the part moved or the object lifted. Now look at this diagram. This is fulcrum, this is weight, and here is effort applied. Now the distance between E and F is called effort arm, and distance between W and F is called weight arm. This is the weight arm, that is the distance between weight and fulcrum. Now we discuss orders of lever. As you are previously seen in diagrams that there are three orders of levers. So we discuss in detail. There are three orders or classes of lever, each of which is characterized by the relative position of the fulcrum, effort and weight. First order. In first order lever, fulcrum is between the effort and weight. It may be situated centrally or towards either the effort or weight. Consequently, the efforts and weight arm may be equal or one may exceed the other in length. In second order lever, the weight is between the fulcrum and effort, and then effort's arm must always exceed the weight arm. Why? Because weight is between fulcrum and effort arm. Then obviously the distance between weight and fulcrum is small. Third order lever. Effort is between the fulcrum and weight, and the weight arm must therefore exceed the effort arm, because in this case effort is between the fulcrum and weight. So the distance between fulcrum and effort is small, so weight arm exceeds. Now discuss what is mechanical advantage and disadvantage and no advantage. There are three scenarios in this case. The efficacy of force in relation to a lever is dependent upon two factors. That is force exerted, that is weight or effort, and its perpendicular distance from the fulcrum, that is weight arm or effort arm. The product of these two factors is known as moment of force or known as torque. When the weight and effort arm are equal length, an effort of a magnitude equal to that of the weight will be required to lift it. No advantage is gained, but the machine is useful for measuring weight, as for example in the common balance, because a state of equilibrium is established here. What is mechanical advantage? If length of the effort arm exceeds that of the weight arm, less effort will be required to achieve a similar result, and we can say an advantage will be gained by the use of the lever. This is known as mechanical advantage, and it is obtained in the levers of first order when the fulcrum is nearest to the weight, then to the effort, and in all levers of the second order. As you are seeing here that effort arm is always greater than the weight arm. So we can say here mechanical advantage is gained because less effort will be required to achieve a similar result. Yeah, we can say that less effort will be required to pick up a small load. It is never obtained in the lever of third order. Mechanical advantage is the ratio of weight to the effort, expressed thus as moment of force is equal to 10 into 2 is equal to 20 feet lbs, 4 into 5 20 feet lbs. Now further we see in this diagram that a 5 kilogram effort is applied and 10 kilogram weight is lifted. So then mechanical advantage is basically ratio of weight by effort. We can say weight divided by effort. If we divide 10 kg to 5 kg, then we got 2, and answer is here 2. And if we have to determine moment of the force, look at here, 40 into 5 and 20 into 10, we multiply them. 20 into 10 is equal to 200 and 40 into 5 is equal to 200 centimeter kilogram. What is mechanical disadvantage? Conversely, in cases in which the weight's arm exceeds the effort arm, a condition of mechanical disadvantage occurs. And as in levers of the first order, when the fulcrum is near to the effort, then to the weight, and all levers of the third order levers are examples of mechanical disadvantage. Why? Because weight arm exceeds the effort arm. Now we discuss levers of the body. Levers of the body we discuss with examples. As you know, there are 3 levers by classification, or we can say there are 3 orders of the levers. So similarly, when we took the examples in the human body, then also there are same to same on same lines there are 3 orders of levers. First order. The feature of this order is stability, and a state of equilibrium can be achieved either with or without mechanical advantage. One example of this type of lever is demonstrated during nodding movements of the head when you move your head in yes or no position. This is the nodding movement. The skull represents the liver, and atlanto-occipital joint fulcrum. Weight is situated anteriorly in the face, and effort is supplied by the contraction of the posterior neck muscles applied at their attachment to the occipital bone. So as you are seeing here that the fulcrum is between effort and weight, and so we can say here state of equilibrium is achieved. So we, as you know, our head is supporting our neck, and that's why this is because of this first order lever. Another example is tilting movement of the pelvis on the femoral head. In this case, you see here that hip joint is fulcrum and weight is bone, and effort is applied by the hip extensors. This is the first order lever. Second order lever, this is the lever of power, as there must always be a mechanical advantage. Now look at their examples. An example in the lower limb is demonstrated when the heels are raised to stand on the toes. Tarsal and metatarsal bones are stabilized by the muscular action to form the lever. The fulcrum is at the metatarsophalangeal joint, and the weight of the body is transmitted through the ankle joint to the talus. This here is weight located, and effort is applied at the insertion of the tendinocalcaneum by the contraction of the calf muscles. So this is very good example of second order lever. In the arm, if we look at this example, in the arm, action of the brachioradialis muscle in flexing the elbow joint can be taken as another example of this type of lever, which is relatively uncommon in the body. In this case, you see that fulcrum is your elbow joint, and effort is supplied by the brachioradialis where it is inserted, and forearm bones are weighed. So this is typical example of second order lever. Third order lever. In the human body, there are more examples of third order levers than that of any other type. This type of lever, in which there is always a mechanical disadvantage, is basically a lever of velocity. The loss of mechanical advantage being outweighed by the advantage gained by the speed and range of movement. That is why we called it as lever of velocity. As you know, second order lever is the lever of power. When the lever is the forearm, the fulcrum is the elbow joint. Took this example. Fulcrum is the elbow joint, and when the effort is supplied by the contraction of the brachialis muscle applied at its insertion, and the weight is some object held in the hand, it can be seen that a small amount of muscular contraction will be translated into a much more extensive and rapid movement at the hand. So we can say that this type of lever can be used to increase the range of motion, and so that's why it is known as lever of velocity. Similarly, in the lower limb, action of the hamstring muscle in flexing the knee is another example. Like in this example, knee joint is fulcrum, and with the hamstring muscle inserting, that insertion point is effort, and weight is some object held with the foot. This is our third order lever's example. Now, why do levers make work easier? Why? Because lever, as you know, are simple machines. So we can say lever like simple machines makes doing work easier by reducing the force needed to move an object. In order to reduce the force needed, the distance over which the force is applied must be increased. Now, look at the importance of levers. Why lever is so important? Because we use it in our everyday activities. So number one, the lever increase the force because they save the exerted effort by using the small force to make a great effort as moving a heavy load. Examples: crowbar, bottle opener, nutcracker, and wheelbarrow. They increase the distance, where some levers allows the exerting force for a small distance to move an object for a longer distance. For example, manual broom. If your hand moves a small distance at the upper part of the manual broom, then the lower part will move a longer distance. They avoid dangers as they are used to pick up the hard, cold, and poisonous materials. Examples: ice holder and coal holder. You can say coal tongues. They increase the speed of the objects that we affect on. For example, hockey bat. They move the force from one place to another. Examples: the force of your hand on the manual broom moves from one place to another to collect the garbage without bending. They have the accuracy in performance as they are used to pick up a small object. Example: tweezers. Now look at further examples of simple lever machine at home and at work. Look at these examples of first order lever. Seesaw, first order lever. As you know, in first order lever, fulcrum is between effort and weight. Scissor is very good example of double first order lever. Plier is to a double first order lever example. Balance scale, because a state of equilibrium can be achieved. Similarly, examples of second order lever: a nutcracker, a stapler, wheelbarrow, and bottle opener. These are a second order lever. Third order lever: manual broom, hammer, tweezers, and sugar tongs. Now we discuss levers in physiotherapy. Levers, when we say levers in physiotherapy, then we basically use the concept of long leverage and short leverage. Increases the leverage is concerned with the situation of the point of application of the given weight. For example, took the example of shoulder joint abduction. Abduction of the arm at the shoulder joint with the elbow flex reduces the leverage, and relatively weak muscles can perform the movement, whereas when the elbow is straight and the leverage is increased, a more powerful contraction is required. Because when you apply resistance at near to wrist level, then obviously leverage arm is increased and more effort is required, and more powerful muscle working is required basically. But if the muscle are weak, for example in the case of deltoid braces, when with the patient sitting and with the shoulder girder fixed, then we can say if we flex the elbow, then it reduces the leverage, and patient can easily perform the movement. Similarly, situation of an external resistance, be it manual or mechanical, will dictate the muscle effort required to overcome it. For example, a non-resistance given at the level of knee joint is more easily overcome by the extensions of the hip than the same resistance applied at the foot when the knee is straight. Various physiotherapy exercise like strength training exercise, multi-gym exercise, rowing exercise, and other manual techniques uses levers to overcome the great load. For lever to be advantageous, we can say that effort arm and load arm should be of different length. If effort arm is long, it will produce more force, while a short arm effort arm produces faster and more range of motion. Actions: as you look at levers of third order, because third order levers are levers of velocity, while the second order lever, in which case because we can say the second order lever is the lever of power, then we can say a effort arm is the large. No, what is angle of pull? Angle of pull. Angle formed between the line of the pull of the muscle and longitudinal axis of the bone in which muscle is acting. This is the angle of pull. Most important is definition. Definition is that a force is most effective when it is applied right angle to a lever. If we mechanical efficiency of muscle, we can say that mechanically pull is most efficient when the muscle is inserted at right angle to the bone. This efficiency is decreased as the angle of pull is reduced because some of the force is used in pulling the bone of insertion toward the joint representing the fulcrum. This approximation of the articulating surface has a stabilizing effect upon the joint, which is greatest when the direction of the pull of the muscle is longitudinal, that is, in the long axis of the bone of the attachment. Furthermore, we can say mechanical efficiency of muscle pull is also reduced when the angle of insertion is increased from the right angle. In this case, joint becomes less stable as the angle increases. When joint becomes less stable when the angle increases from the right angle position. Look at these examples that when angle of pull is we can say force is most effective when it is applied right angle to the lever. Angle of pull changes as the range of motion changes, obviously, and most rotary force occurs when the muscle's angle of pull is 90 degree. On either side of the 90 degree, muscle force is only partly used to reduce joint motions. The other part tends to either compress or distract the joints. That is muscle's movement arm, the distance. Now, what is efficiency of resistance? Similarly to the angle of pull, the efficiency of resistance, we can say that sustained pull of the force offering resistance will also be maximum when it is applied at right angle to the lever and will decrease as the angle of pull become acute or obtuse. A force offering resistance to the movement of the body levers may be applied by means of a rope or to a physiotherapist's hand. The effect of this resisting force is maximal when it is applied at right angle to the moving bone. During the course of the movement, when the angle of the pull must vary, right angle pull is applied in that part of the range in which maximum resistance is required. This usually coincides with the part of the range in pull of the working muscle is most efficient, and when most efficient, when it is applied at right angle. Now let's start with pulleys. Look at this diagram. Pulley. A grooved wheel supported on a frame, and then on one side effort is applied and another side a weight is hanging, 2 kg weight. So first of all we see what is pulley. A pulley is a grooved wheel which is rotated about a fixed axis by a rope which passes around it. The axis is supported by the framework or block, and the whole structure may be used either as a fixed pulley or we can say movable pulley. We actually can say pulley are two types, fixed pulley and movable pulley. Now look at them. Fixed pulley. This is used to alter the direction of the force and enables traction or resistance to be applied at an angle. The pulley block is fixed to some suitable support, and the rope which passes around the wheel is attached to the weight at one end and effort is applied at the other end. This is like basically fixed pulley. Now look at movable pulley. This device is used to gain a mechanical advantage when lifting heavy weight. For example, simple combination is common use for lifting the trunk for suspension exercise. The upper pulley is fixed to the overhead support to which one end of the rope is attached, and the rope is then wound around the movable pulley to which the weight is attached, and around the fixed pulley and the effort applied at the free end, provided the effect of the friction is omitted. We can say tension is the same in all parts of the rope. Therefore, if the weight is 6 lbs kg, you can say the tension required in each of the two supporting ropes will be 3 lbs, and the effort required will be therefore same. We can say 3 lbs. This can be expressed as mechanical advantage is equal to weight by effort. That means if weight is 6 kg and effort is 3 kg, then we divide 6 by 3 and is equal to 2. Okay, so we can say mechanical advantage here is 2. If double pulleys are used, the effort required can again be reduced by half. Anatomical applications of the pulley. In the human body, in most cases, pulley is replaced by bone, cartilage, or ligament, and cord is replaced by muscle tendon. Tendon is lubricated in a manner so that it can easily slide over the pulley. Now, what are the function of anatomical pulley? Function of any pulley is to redirect a force to make a task easier. The task in the human movement is to rotate a body segment. Anatomical pulleys, in the majority of the instances, make this task easier by deflecting the action line of the muscle away from the joint axis, thus increasing the mechanical advantage of the muscle force. By increasing the mechanical advantage of a muscle force, a force of the same magnitude with no extra energy expenditure produces greater torque. So, in short, we can say that basically function of any pulley is to redirect the force and make the task easier. Now, look at the classification of anatomical pulleys. There are basically 4 classes of pulleys. First 3 of them are the example of fixed pulleys, and the fourth one is an example of movable one. Now, we'll look at further in detail these classes. Class 1. An improved muscle action comes from the muscle tendon passing over the external support, the external support serving as the pulley. For example, the presence of patella here improves the efficiency of the quadricep muscle, as the pulley will increase the angle of insertion of the patellar ligament into the tibial tuberosity. So this is typical, we can give it is class 1 pulley. Now look at class 2. The action of the muscle at the joint is altered because of the pulley. In class 2, pulley may be a bone, pulley may be a cartilage, and pulley may be a ligament. When pulley is a bone, for example, lateral malleolus of the fibula act as a pulley for the peroneus longus muscle. If it were not for the malleolus, thus this muscle, instead of passing behind the lateral malleolus, to be inserted in the base of the fifth metatarsal and produce ankle plantar flexion and eversion. It would have produced ankle dorsiflexion and eversion because of its passage in front of the ankle joint. Using the lateral malleolus as a pulley force, we can say force is transmitted to the plantar aspect of the foot, resulting in plantar flexion and eversion of the foot. When pulley is a cartilage, then for example, trochlea of the eye allows the superior oblique muscle of the eye, when it passes over it, to rotate the eye obliquely. Without this pulley, the muscle would have little effect on the eye. Superior oblique muscle. The pulley is a ligament. For example, flexor retinaculum of the hand acts as a pulley for the flex of the fingers to prevent its posturing. Without this action, these muscles will not be effective in moving these joints. Trochlea of the superior oblique is basically a pulley-like structure and of the eye. The tendon of the superior oblique muscle passes through it, situated on the superior nasal aspect of the frontal bone. It is the only cartilage found in the normal orbit. Trochlea basically comes from Greek word and meaning pulley. Flexor retinaculum. These are the basically flexor retinaculum, and tendons are passing from this flexor retinaculum. As we previously see here that pulley is a ligament. Then in this case, flexor retinaculum of the hand acts as a pulley for the flexor of fingers to prevent boasting effect. Class 3. The joint serve as a pulley. The size of the epicondyles of the femur gives the gracilis tendon a favorable angle of insertion as the tendon insert on the tibia or the middle part of the deltoid as it passes over the shoulder joint. So we can say that joint also serve as a pulley. Similarly, in class 4, the muscle acts as a pulley. The muscle is its own pulley. For example, as the bicep muscle increases in size, its angle of insertion will increase. The muscle underneath acts as a pulley for another muscle which passes over it. For example, brachialis muscle, where it raises the bicep, giving it a better angle of insertion. Bicep, meaning that brachialis muscle is a deep muscle and bicep muscle lies over it. And when we do muscle strengthening exercise, then we can say that brachialis muscle act as a pulley and will raise the bicep so that it basically increases the angle of insertion of the bicep. For this to be effective, the overriding muscle must not have the same insertion as the bulky muscle. Thank you. Hopefully you like it. Thank you again.